Welcome to Vaultoro.com, the first real-time trading platform where you can trade Bitcoin and physical gold at the best possible price. With Vaultoro, you can buy and sell physical gold within 1 hour after opening an account. No banking fees, a minimum of milligrams, and no waiting days to buy. 100% good delivery gold bullion. Vaultoro makes trading gold and Bitcoin cheaper, secure, faster, and way easier, without the need of converting to a government-issued currency or even using a bank account. You can trade your Bitcoin in and out of a historically stable and private asset. You can hold gold for seconds or years. The gold is stored in your name as your property in high-security vaults within Switzerland. No one can touch it except you. You can request physical delivery of your gold at any time, or you can sell it for Bitcoin within seconds. All gold holdings are audited by BDO, one of the biggest auditing firms in the world, so you can be sure Vaultoro is always at full gold reserves. Your gold is 100% insured against theft, fire, and every other possibility. Even if something happens to Vaultoro, you can always get access to your wealth. Our more than 100% Bitcoin reserves can be audited on the blockchain by everybody. All cold wallets are multi-signature and stored in multiple locations around the world. We are open 24/7, so you can buy and sell your gold at any time of day and receive your funds instantly. We charge a small, industry-standard trading fee, which gets lower the more you trade. You truly can become your own bank. Hold your wealth in private gold, instantly spendable with Bitcoin, globally accessible, 100% bank independent. Get started today by opening a free account at Vaultoro.com. Vaultoro.com.
Thanks for coming, everyone, on this beautiful day. It's really a lovely day to be outside, so thanks for coming. So my name is Joshua Scigala, co-founder of Vaultoro, with my brother, Joseph Scigala, and today I'm talking about transparency in Bitcoin exchanges because that's a rock star style. Okay. So basically, we first started Vaultoro we started developing about a year ago, a year and a half ago now, and we launched in February. And the story goes a little bit like this. I found Bitcoin very early on and loved it and fell down this rabbit hole, and I'm still falling. I don't know where the end is. And one day I woke up and thought, wow, what's that on Reddit? No one's being able to withdraw their cash. And of course, Mount Empty Cox was Empty Cox, and they'd lost holdings of around about $500 million or something like that. So it was really nuts, and it was a really sad day for Bitcoin and the Bitcoin community because, of course, the press was like, Bitcoin hacked, and all these sort of nonsense headlines, which of course is untrue. Everyone knows that Bitcoin as a protocol was absolutely stable and beautiful. But it really gave a bad vision, and that's what really made me then say, I've had enough. We had Installer Wallet, we had a whole heap of hacks go down, and thought, if Mt. Gox had been more transparent, which it absolutely could have been, we could have had a lot of warning signals, and people could have started withdrawing without, before they collapsed. And I think that's something that needs to happen for the industry to move forward, is that people need to really I think the market needs to generally take transparency really, really, really seriously, because if we don't, the first thing that's going to happen is another big collapse is going to happen, and we're going to have the state step in and go, we'll save you, and start putting regulations in, which of course only help the incumbent by making it really difficult for startups. And that's the beautiful thing about Bitcoin, is that you do not need permission to start anything. You just start something, and hopefully the market will help out and take it up. So, so define transparency. Well, we all know what transparency is in terms of a piece of glass. But what is it when you have a corporation or a company to be transparent? And it's you can have transparency, but then you don't have you can have a little bit of lack of privacy for the users. So having that balance between privacy of users and transparency is really, really key. And I think Bitcoin got this really nicely right. We have a blockchain which is not private at all. Everyone can read everything there is. Every address points to another address. You can follow money. But the people behind that can be anonymous. So why is this important? This is super important because if you run a business, you don't want your competitor to know who your supplier is, or how much your staff is getting paid, or how much this and that. So it's really important with money to have some sort of anonymity. But the transparency side of it is really important for people like companies like exchanges. So what you put up with, you end up with, and that's really key after Mt. Gox, is that if we put up with things like this, if we don't demand exchanges to be more transparent, if we keep using exchanges that refuse to be transparent, then we're going to get more Mt. Goxes. And so it's really, really, really critical that everybody look at exchanges and say, look, you're not doing sort of best practices, I'd rather go somewhere else. So if we don't, we're going to get more laws, and what Bitcoin tries to do is deal with issues of human nature by building incentive structures instead of laws. So instead of pointing guns at people, they just say 2 + 2 = 4, and that's just what it is. It doesn't matter how many guns you point, it's always equals 4. And so that's a really important thing. We have structures in place that incentivize bad actors to not be able to act badly, but act goodly. So you can turn here. So what sort of transparency do we have? We have public transparency and, audits, public audits and private audits. And public audits are beautiful on a blockchain. You can all look through, people can publish their Bitcoin addresses. And then you have private, so we have companies like BDO International. They are auditing us, they're professional auditing firms. They go into companies, they go through the books, they do everything, and they say, yep, and they give their tick of approval. Now, public is beautiful because everyone can see it, and it builds trust, as everyone can see it. Private, only third parties can see, so the public have to trust that they are good actors. With someone like BDO, it's nice for us to use. We're quite a little company compared to them. They're a $4 billion global company, so the incentives for them to cheat is really ridiculously out of balance for us. So they just wouldn't. So it works, but we can see sometimes these large multi-billion-dollar banks, incentives could be a little bit sketchy. So that's where Bitcoin is really good, because you can have this public audit. So Greg Maxwell and Peter Todd came up with beautiful proof of liability. It's not the easiest thing to figure out for the general public, but I'll give you a little roundup of what it is. First of all, does everyone here know what a hash is? What a hash function is? If anyone don't know what a hash function is? Yeah. Okay. Cool. So how this works? The proof of liability is that there's a standard table, and you have the email address, the balance, nonce. So the nonce is basically to throw some salt in, because otherwise you could reverse engineer a hash by trying out different email addresses compared to balances on the blockchain. So that just adds a little bit of spice to the mix. Anyway, at the end you get a hash of these three things. So the hash is this nice little number which is independent. Now the Merkle tree is not this. Fuck no. It's a bit of maths. Does everyone know what a Merkle tree is? Or does anyone not know what a Merkle tree is? Okay. So a Merkle tree is basically a way of hashing a whole heap of things so that you take two bits of data, you hash them together, you take two other bits of data, you hash them together, and then you hash the two hashes. So you can, if one thing changes in that tree, then the final hash changes. So you only need one little tiny bit of this little something like that to change, and the whole thing changes if the hash changes. So the tree is a really interesting way of minimizing data, but still understanding if there's been a change somewhere along the line. So how does this work? I'll just go back again in terms of transparencies. Well, down the bottom here, we have the balances. So basically what we saw with that table, we separate everything out into a line, and then we take two values and we hash them together. We hash these together, and we can see that here. So taking this value, this hash, this value, this hash, and we've got a new one. So 2.7 plus 1 plus 3.7, and we end up with a new hash. We do that all the way along the line. So here we have, then we take this hash, and these two, and hash them again, and we get a new sum, and all the way up to the top. So basically we can get a whole tree and a final hash of everybody's holdings, and the sum. So if anyone's holding changes, this hash up here changes absolutely. The good thing about this system is that you only need to show the client three other holdings, so it's extremely private. You don't need to show everything. You can show, say that's you there. You only need to show this client, and this client, because this plus this is this hash, and then these two is this, these two is this. The problem is that, let's face it, this is a fucking nightmare. I mean, yeah, what kind of grammar is it? Who's going to look at that and understand it? But the pitfalls of this as well is that the evil exchange can show that people that are holding the same amount, so let's say it's 1 Bitcoin, they can show that client the same node that someone else has. And so that's a little bit of a stick point. Users have to be logged in to see this as well. So that's also a bit crappy, because once you log in, the exchange knows, aha, they're logged in, we better act well on what they're doing. And people need to have extreme technical competency, which we all know doesn't really exist. Like grandma over here, she's like, wow, it's not going to happen. So it's really important that the Bitcoin community start to work away from these extreme technicalities and start making grandma-friendly software. Many eyes, and this is the thing about public transparency. You see in open source software, the more eyes that can tell that something is wrong, the more you can sound alarms if it is. So the problem with the Merkle tree system, or the system that Greg Maxwell came up with, is you've got only a few eyes that can really understand what the hell is going on. Plus you need to be logged in. So it's really nice. It's a nice system, but it really narrows the amount of people that can deal with that and truly understand it. So what do we do at Vaultoro? Because I'm Vaultoro, I'm talking about Vaultoro. What we do is we we try to simplify that whole system. So we have a public audit page, so you don't need to be logged in, and every user gets an anonymous ID. So they get a little anonymous random code. And they can check, without being logged in, if their standings are right. This means that they can go on and look at the website and go, okay, my standing's right. Now it would be very, very extremely risky for us to fiddle with the numbers because we don't know when this person's checking. So this goes back to the many, many eyes thing. We hope that as many eyes as possible will be able to keep an eye on their own holdings. You can then also see gold total, the sum of all holdings. So this list is only the top 4, but if you go on the website, you can see everyone. And the total Bitcoin holdings. So total Bitcoin holdings, we then show the cold wallet addresses, the multi-sig cold wallet addresses, and people can check on the blockchain, does that equal that? And this is extremely, extremely important because this is what the blockchain gives us, folks. And the blockchain gives us a way to, especially for, let's say, non-profits or charities, to be able to be transparent. And this is one thing that's extremely, extremely important that we all start to recognize. We also have a warm wallet which, because showing hot wallets is extremely difficult because people can generate a hell of a lot of them. And so we have a warm wallet which has the exact same amount of Bitcoins plus more. We have a lot more than the hot wallet because the hot wallet only holds 10% of the holdings. We put everything in cold. But the warm wallet is also investment funds that we've got there to show that that's available. So does that make sense? We've got, it's kind of tricky to understand, but basically it means that we've got the same amount of money that's in the hot wallet in another wallet, which is just one single address, and we can prove that we've got access to those funds. Then we show the vaulting certificate. So we, from Vaultoro, which is one of the largest vaulting firms in Europe, the gold statements from them, which you can check, and so you can make sure that the same amount of gold as the user's holdings, the sum of all the user's holdings there. We've got a BDO certificate, so this goes back to the private auditing side. So we've got BDO audits Vaultoro and gives us a certificate twice a year. So we have public audit, which is real time, or every 30 minutes, and we've got private, which is every 6 months, because it's a very tedious task. It's a standard in auditing, and it's pretty extreme. And then we've got a insurance certificate. So, and everything's available to everyone. And this is extremely important here in the statistics. So yeah, that's Vaultoro, and that's transparency as a whole. It's a really important thing for the Bitcoin community to demand, because if we keep going, we're gonna get more and more crashes. We're gonna get more and more bad press. And instead of demanding for more violence and more laws to hold bad actors into play, we need to start looking at how the blockchain can materialize having honesty within exchanges. It's one of the most important things that I think we can all start looking at, and yeah, and I hope that we do, because it's if we don't, then I don't think it'll move as fast as it could. Thank you very much.
Well, if you have questions, please come over to the microphone and just shout very loud.
How do we know you didn't fake those certificates?
Well, you can read Pro and ask for one as well. I don't know if they would, but yeah, I mean, you can definitely fake certificates, but it's if you can ring. We've also got third-party law firms to verify things as well that interface between Pro and us. So that's really good question. But it's something that we're working on as well. So one thing we're looking at doing is working with Factum to insert every trade that happens into the blockchain, so that we don't. So this is the proof of liability thing. So there's a difference between proof of liability and proof of reserve. So the proof of reserve is easy on the blockchain, but with gold it's difficult. So yeah, these certificates, that is an issue. But
I totally trust that you have everything in order.
yeah, but it's not about trust, is it? I mean, that's really what's important, is that we start finding ways of mathematically proving things. So I think one way we could do it, one thing we could do better, is get Pro to sign the certificate with a hash with a crypto key, which would be a very good way to go about it.